talent level that I was explaining before, which is guitar and defending the perimeter, is something that I explained that is something that I do. I could tell people maybe how they can do it, but it's a talent that you have. So the basic foundation will be that anyone that will enlist to the army is that a person will be taught how to be a professional killer, and you have to go, whatever they assign you, that you have to like get rid of people, right? That's an army. So a person could never make it in the army if they don't have the killer instinct, right? And the killer instinct is the moment there's something you're assigned to kill, and if you didn't kill it, then you're not good. It's like the same thing as you go clean a place, and they're like, you're supposed to clean this spot. Yeah, well, you didn't clean it. Well, you're not a good cleaner, right? So in the army, you're given tasks of what to get rid of, right? And basically, it comes down on the category of getting rid of things that are incorrect, right? Which are the targets, right? So you see a target that is incorrect, you're supposed to get rid of it, right? Okay, so that is the basic foundation of a person being cold blooded, right? You could be in a regular place doing something, but all of a sudden you see a target and you have to get rid of it, right? No matter what, that is your assignment, and you need to get rid of something that's incorrect, right? Because if you don't get rid of it, then that's something that is not good, that's outside in the environment, and someone needs to take that trash out of there. You see, if something that's incorrect is trash, right? So a person that's incorrect, they're a trashy person, right? They're doing something incorrect, right? Whatever it is, right? So a real good soldier, a real good cleaner will get rid of it, right? It's something that everyone will agree. Is this good or is this bad? That is bad. Everyone will agree, right? Okay, so someone needs to get rid of it, right? And then you say someone that is very good in defense will get rid of that, will make that go away, right? So then you put the foundation of someone that is uh, like hiding their identity, right? It could be either just put as an example as a superhero, right? Superhero hide their identity a lot of times, not every single one of them, but when it comes down to being a superhero, they put on a mask, right? But when you're a superhero, you're not the same person. You see, you're not the same person when you're a superhero, right? So you could be a person walking around anywhere socially, right? But then you have an assignment military, and you're gonna change and become a military person, and you're not the same person, right? So when you become a killer, you're not the same person. You see, because now you have a job to do, and you cannot be like friendly and nice. You're like, whatever that is garbage. It's trash, right? But we're talking about people that are garbage, trash, right? So someone has to take them out. See, and in war, taking them out means you have to kill them, right? So a person that will not make it in the army is a person who cannot kill, right? It's like you have that in you to be cold blooded, and you're like, I'm gonna kill that person right now. Why? Because that's what you signed up for. You signed up for doing that, right? So a lot of people have that, and then they're not able to do it, and basically that's why they don't make it in the army, right? So I have a task, right? That you have a person that's incorrect, right? And all of a sudden, that's exactly what I'll do. I know exactly what I have to do. What? I need to get rid of that, right? And how do you get rid of that? Well, you block it, and you basically get well, you have a sign and you put it in the trash, right? So is that garbage out of there? Yes. Then you did your job. You see? So it's like the same thing. When I clean a place, I get rid of every tiny piece of trash that's incorrect, every inch, tiny spot, right? So it's the same thing. So it's an example that if you have a superhero and they have a person that's incorrect, the superhero has to make sure that the place is safer and you get rid of that person that's incorrect, right? But then you put on your mask and you're like, it's not the same person, right? So then you take off the mask and you're out there socially, but people are not gonna know you're that superhero, right? So when you're the superhero, you're not the same person, right? And then you go and you get rid of the person, right? That's what basically a superhero does, right? Okay, so when you explain as a superhero, that's why in the army, the first thing that they tell you is that you have to be a killer, right? Of people in war. So it's the same thing when you think about it. You have to be a killer in war, right? Okay, and you have to survive and not get caught by the other people that you're getting rid of during the war. So then what happens? Well, look at what happens in the world. You have people that end up in prison and jail, right? Okay, they're killers, right? But that's not inside the army, right? That's a regular people that are killing people, but it's not within an actual war. They're killing people and getting arrested, right? Okay, so then you have an example: a person that kills a whole bunch of people and doesn't get caught is a person that's a serial killer, right? So what happens with a serial killer is that you kill a whole bunch of people, right, as a serial killer, but no one thinks it is you. You see, like, so with a person hides their identity, and it's like they're a completely different person. The person goes out and seems very charismatic and nice, that maybe they wouldn't harm anyone, and all of a sudden, the person hid that part of themselves and find a way to lure people and start killing people for whatever reason that they want to do it, right? So you have a person that is a serial killer, they just want to kill people, right? Okay, and it's hard. You say it's very hard to catch them, and you say, and it's because they hide their identity. You see, they hide their identity, and they pick who they want to kill for a reason, right? I want to go ahead and start killing a whole bunch of different people, right? And they'll be like, what's the motive? Every different serial killer has a different motive of why they kill, right? Okay, so the point of that is that saying like serial killers are killers, they're cold blooded, right? But the whole thing in common is like they don't get caught, right? So they have to pretend that they're like a nice person, but outside of being a nice person, they lure people and they kill them and kill a whole bunch of people. Nobody ever finds out. So the best way that is accomplished is the person comes up to being like nice, charismatic, oh, helping people, doing all these nice things, and they're never gonna suspect that that person is killing a whole bunch of people, right? And if they get caught at some point, they're like, why in the world did you start killing all these people? And then the person will say why, because there's no such thing as a serial killer that doesn't have a motive, right? So every person that's a serial killer, they have a motive of why they do it, right? Every single one that has ever existed, because they've all gotten caught, right? But you say a person becomes a serial killer when they've done killed a whole bunch of different people, right? And a person that kills one person ends up in jail. They're not a serial killer because they got caught, right? Being a serial killer means you're not getting caught, and you're going at one per people start going missing all the time. Like what's happening to these people? They're gone, and nobody knows who it is because a person like that will hide their identity. They're not the person that you think that they are, right? It's like this person is so charming, attractive, and nice, helps people, and that's the last person you're gonna expect to be doing that, right? So you could say a serial killer will do those things on purpose, right? To hide what they really want to do, right? It's like they behave that way on purpose because they're like, this is how I can get away with it. Why? Because no one's gonna suspect what I'm actually doing, right? So the person would just basically go and look for victims, right? So a victim will be a person that is like, all right, I'm looking for a target that I can kill, right? So the person will search, search, search until they find that one person they want to kill, right? So then the trap will be you're gonna pretend someone you're not, and you're gonna pretend that you're not a serial killer, right? So then all of a sudden they get put in a spot, and that's it. They got whoever they wanted to kill, they target, and that's it. They're gone, right? So after that person's gone, then there's another person, and another, and another, and another, until they finally get caught, right? So if a serial killer is never caught, then people are just gonna keep dying because the serial killer, they have that motive, and once you start, like anything else, once you start killing, it gets stronger and stronger and stronger, and you want to do it more and more and more and more, right? So when you say people in history that killed other people, if you've killed one or two people, that's not a serial killer, right? A serial killer would be someone that's done a whole bunch of different people, and they were all killed for the same reason, right? So a serial killer has no difference with a superhero because both are hiding their identities of who they really are, and they're both extremely dangerous. All right. So anyone that is like you could say a person of that status is an extremely smart person. People might not think they're smart. They're extremely smart. If someone doesn't get caught, they're smart, right? That person kills. Yeah, have they gotten caught? No. Then they're kind of smart. Why? Because if they were, if it's hard to catch them, because they're intelligent, right? So then you have people that could try to search how to catch like a person like that, like a serial killer, and it's extremely hard. You see. So what I'm saying is like to hide uh, like from a situation like that, you have to have like a high intelligence level from hiding and hiding who you are, so you keep doing what you want to keep doing. You see, like what I say is like true, right? Criminals end up in spiritual jail, right? And that's why they're stupid, right? It's like a criminal is gonna end up in a really bad place. Yeah, okay, they're stupid because that is a really really bad choice, right? Okay, and that applies to all criminals, right? Because if you're gonna end up in a place that you're gonna be tortured for all eternity, you're not gonna say, "Oh, that person's smart." No, that person's stupid. Why in the world would you wanna end up over there? Nobody wants to end up over there. You ended up over there, right? Okay, so that person's stupid, right? But then, to some degree, right? If the person's a serial killer, right? And at the end, you say they end up in spiritual jail. Yeah, they're stupid for ending up there. Anyone that ends up being tortured for all eternity, it's stupid because it's like we rather end up being in paradise, heaven, for all eternity. That seems really smart. That's genius. Well, obviously. Well, will you want to end up the opposite? No, that's stupid, right? So that's why I say all criminals are stupid because they went to a place of torture instead of a place of pleasure, right? So that's just a fact, right? It's like, hey, you want to get a massage? Yes, that feels great. Oh, awesome. Genius. Okay, you want to get tortured for all eternity? You can never escape? No. Yeah, that's pretty stupid. Yeah, so you're stupid, right? So, what I'm saying, a person even though they're most likely gonna end up in spiritual jail unless they repent or something like that, right? Which a lot of people don't repent, but you could repent if anyone can repent, right? But if a person doesn't repent, they end up in spiritual jail. So it's like how do you say? There's a hole on that place where you can walk, right? I'm telling you right now, if you walk through that hole, you're gonna fall and you're gonna get tortured for all eternity, right? So that'll be pretty stupid if you actually walk in there, right? But if you go around it, there's a place that you could get a massage. That's pretty smart, right? So everyone will agree that the person that goes in the hole and they get tortured forever is pretty stupid. That was stupid, you're stupid, right? So that's what happens to all the people that end up in spiritual jail, right? But even though people that are incorrect end in spiritual jail, the only part that you could say that is intelligence is of them doing things not to get caught. You see, that you have to have some type of intelligence there, right? If you don't get caught, then you have some intelligence of being able to commit the crime that you keep doing, right? It's like, for example, a person does something that's a crime activity, and they get caught right away, right? Okay, so you say they're stupid, but they don't know how to hide, right? Okay, so because it's like, for example, you do something incorrect, right? Who's gonna come after you? The police. It's just very simple, right? You do something incorrect, who's gonna come after you? The police, right? Okay, so the police is looking for you, but they can't find you. Right, so the person is smart of finding a way that they cannot get caught by the cops, right? A person could kill a person could steal, a person could do like some type of violence, a person could damage a local place, right? Okay, but the person's like, well, now I have to hide, right? Okay, so the person has to hide and they have to have some type of intelligence to be able to not get caught, right? Okay, so everyone that ends up in spiritual jail is still stupid, right? But in order not to get caught, you gotta have some type of strategy of how to hide, right? Okay, so the similarity between the army, a hero, a serial killer, or whoever it is that you have to hide, you see? Because if not, you get caught. If you're a superhero and people know your identity, you're gonna get caught and you can't hide. People know who you are, this and that, right? So they know who you are, you can't hide. You no longer have a secret identity, and you can get caught by anyone if people know that you're the superhero. If you're a serial killer, you get caught. Well, you can't kill. Why? Because you got caught, and that's it. You're incarcerated, and you're no longer gonna do the same thing that you wanted to do, which was kill a whole bunch of people, because that's what a serial killer does, right? And then you have any type of criminal, right, that commits any crime. Um, they commit the crime and they get caught, and that's it. They get caught. So you could say all those scenarios is like the hero, the serial killer, or the other type of criminal. They have no strategy of how to hide, so they get caught like right away, right? But someone that has, you could say, a strategy or intelligence, they never get caught, right? So that's what it comes down to, that, right? It comes down to that. They don't get caught, right? So, but I'm never saying that they're not stupid. Yeah, they're stupid if they by going to hell, but the only intelligence that they have is a strategy of how not to get caught, right? So the person, it doesn't matter what profession you are, you can't get caught, right? You can't reveal your identity, and a lot of people get caught because they reveal their identity, right? So whenever something happens, I go with my instinct and I do the right thing. You see? So I'm walking outside. I'm walking in the mall. Um, I could be at a uh, like a club or a bar or a dance place, right? Any of those places, right? So you say I'm basically with my normal behavior, right? I'm just here hanging out, whatever, doing this and that, right? But then I see someone does something incorrect, right? Whatever. A person could be obnoxious. A person could be rude, right? Like just being disrespectful. A person could be angry, right? Or any of those things, right? And then I will go like, hold on, give me 1 second, right? And I'll go somewhere else, and I'll be in the same place, completely different. You see? So the difference is like I'm not the same person. Right there, you say I go in full military mode. You see? Before I was just outside hanging out like a regular civilian, right? Okay, so like, all right, I'm not gonna be like a regular civilian. I'm gonna go, just how you do in the army, right? So then you go with the what the army does, right? The whole thing of defense, frightening, scaring people, right? That you're not gonna trespass this area, right? And you do that in the correct way, and that is basically playing defense, playing guitar, right? Whoever the person is, you see. But like I said a million times before, you're not gonna be angry, right? You're just gonna stay there, and for example, the person did something incorrect, right? The person was obnoxious, right? Obnoxious is like a person that is pretty much annoying, right? That person is obnoxious. They're so annoying, right? And then it's just like a person that is rude, right? A person who makes bad gestures with their face or their hands and they're being all rude, right? That's someone that is incorrect, right? No one likes like a rude person, right? A person that gives, how do you say, like bad gestures, right? A person that will like be like, you could do with your face or with the hands, like get out of here, go away, right? Like that. That's being rude. See, like a person that's rude is a person like that, right? um is an example, right? There's rude people everywhere, but it's like people that are, it's like people that are rude shouldn't be in places where there's like a lot of people, right? Because the most people like charming people, right? They like charming, nice people, right? Rude people are people that usually people won't like, right? It's like I go, let's say that I'm with like 5 people, right? And you go in a spot and there's like a person that's rude, right? And everyone will go like, I don't like, we don't like that person, we don't like them, right? Everyone. And then I will go like, yeah, me neither. Why? Because the person's rude, is disrespectful, right? So a person that's rude is disrespectful, right? And they don't respect the person, right? It's just that simple. If a person is rude, it's like they don't think you're good, right? It's just that simple. They don't think you're good. Like if you really think about it, right? A person disrespects you when they don't think you're good, right? It's like, I don't think you're good at your profession, whatever it is that you do, right? Whoever the person is, right? That's why they disrespect you, right? So a person disrespects you when they don't think you're good, right? So then, as simple as this, okay, if you don't think I'm good, then I guess you're better than me, right? It's an example, right? That's what you tell a person. Oh, you don't think I'm good? Well, I guess you're better than me, right? And that's what the person could say, right? Okay, so this is the way that I react, right? I react with the person, right? So with myself, if I see a person that's rude, it's like, nah, I don't think you're good, this and that. And then the only thing that I will do is very simple. Don't ever get near me again. Right? Ever. And that's what I will do. You see? And that's how I always react. That's my natural behavior, right? Because a person could say that, you know? It's like my strength is pressure, right? My strength is like playing guitar, right? My strength is being charming, right? So the person could be like, well, I could be more charming, I could play better guitar, and I could be all these things more better than you. And they go like, go right ahead, good luck, right? And that's it, right? And then I'll just be like, well, don't ever get near me ever again. See? And that's my behavior, you see? And that's how you should be. It's like a person, I don't respect you. All right, then you do it, you see? With anyone, right? And then you give the person all that pressure of doing that, what are you supposed to do, right? Imagine, like, I can run, right? A person's really fast, and the person be like, I think I'm faster than you. All right, here's the watch. Go, beat my time, right? So that's pretty much how that works, right? So so when you have a person that is rude, they don't respect you. You see, a person that you respect is someone that um, you're not gonna say you literally worship them, but it's to like someone that you look up to, right? Someone that you respect is like someone that is like, hey man, you know what? I want to be like you, right? As an example, right? Someone that you respect is like, oh, I want to be like you, or like you're my hero, or I wish you could teach me, right? Because you respect the person, right? If you respect the person, like, could you teach me how to be like you? You're my hero, and I want to be like you, right? You respect the person, right? So someone who's not your hero, right? Someone who you don't think they're talented or anything like that, you're gonna disrespect them. It's like, get out of here, man. You're terrible. You suck or whatever, right? That's rightfully so. The person doesn't think you're good at all, right? So they're gonna tell you those things, right? So the way I behave is very simple, right? If anyone tells me that, I've gotten those comments before, right? The person could tell me, you're not good at the things that you're good at, right? As an example, right? And I was like, all right, cool. Then don't get near me ever again, right? And when you say that as the example, you see, when you say don't get near me ever again, you're playing defense, you see. But it's no anger, you see. It's like, all right, you disrespected me. You said I'm no good. Okay. Well, you see this line? Yeah, don't ever get near this line. This is where I'm at, right? And that's it, right? So an example that you do that is the same thing that I said. You stand in one spot and you're like, do not get near me ever again, right? And you just stay there like a statue, just looking. You see, that's exactly what you do. That's what you always do. You see, but it's no anger, right? And that's the same thing that you do, that you're taught in the army. You see, you're like, you stay there. You like the way that's properly to respond without violence, right? It's like a person disrespects you, right? Tells you suck, this and that, could insult you, they're rude, they made a bad face gesture, they like tell you go away, maybe with words, or maybe they put their hands like, like a person to tell you be rude by saying like get out of here, right? They could say get out of here, then that's rude, right? Or you could grab your hands and go like, you move your hands, push it up, get out of here with the hand, move away, right? Okay, so that's a person being rude. Okay, all right. So then what happens is you just go and do what the person tells you, right? Okay, you go and you go like this. Don't get near me ever again, right? Okay, and the way that you say the proper way to do that, okay, what person told you that? Okay, so the person told you to go away, right? And they told you these things, right? Okay, so it's just straight up like, so make their wish come true, right? It was like the party said go away or whatever, yeah. So make their wish come true. What? Go over there and agree with them. You see? Go over there and agree with them. But you're not gonna talk to them. You just stay right there and you look at them and you tell them with your eyes, saying like, I agree, don't get near me ever again. You see? But that's without anger, right? Without cursing the person out, right? Because what most people do, if someone's rude to you, like I said before, right? And you're not in control of yourself, what's gonna happen? What do you think you're doing talking to me that way or behaving that way with me? Huh? You got a problem, right? Obviously the person has a problem, right? But the person loses control of themselves. Like the person's rude to you, they tell you like in a very disrespectful way, right? And then you just go to them and you're like, um, don't don't talk to me ever again, don't get near me again, I agree with you. You see? And you just go agree with whatever it is that they said, right? You go like, so you think this of me and you told me to go away, you were rude to me. Okay, I agree. If that's what you think of me, then that's what I'm at to you. All right, so don't get near me ever again, right? But the proper way to do it is by scaring the person. You see? At the end of the day, how do you do it? You scare the person, right? But you see, like you scare the person without anger. You see, you stand there right there, military, and you just look and you let them know that you're saying like go away. It's like, okay, fine, don't get near me ever again, and you just make that statement, right? So that's what happens, right? So what I'm explaining is like respecting a person is when you look up to a person, right? Respecting a person is when they're your hero. When you respect a person, it's because you want to be like them. When you respect a person, it's when they're your role model, right? You respect a person. They're like, um, they're like, that's, you want to be like that when you're older. That's who you want to be like, right? When you're like you could say like a person that's all you, like if you wanna uh, be something in whatever it is that you want to do, and that person is the one you think about, you have the most respect for that person, right? So the opposite is that you don't think that person is good at all. See, that's the total opposite. You're not good. You see, I don't think you're talented. This and that, and you're gonna be disrespectful to that person. You're gonna be scram, go away. I don't like you. You're terrible. This and that, right? And you're gonna treat them bad, right? And the reason they're gonna say that is because they don't think you're good. You see? Okay. So myself is different because I know that I am good at the things that I do, right? So if a person tells me that I'm not good, automatically I know it's a lie. See? So right there, I know it's a lie, and all I will do is like my the same behavior that I have myself a big sister. All right, so you're saying I'm not good at what I do? Yeah. Well, what I do is what I'm good at. If I'm bad at something, I don't do it because that's not where my talent is, right? Okay. So you don't think I'm good, you don't think I'm talented. Okay, I agree with you. Now, don't get near me ever again, right? So you could say since you have people that how would you say? I have people that you say look up to me, right? And that I'm their hero, role model, or whatever, right? So what do I do with people? I tutor and I teach people, right? That's what I explained before. I tutor and teach people, no matter how good or bad they are, right? I tutor and help and teach people. That's what I do. I don't make fun of them, right? So people that I do that with is because people are like, oh, you're my role model. I want to be like you, etc. Okay, fine. So you could be at the lowest level or the highest level. I'll teach you and I'll train you, right? No matter what level the person is, I'll teach them, I'll train them, right? So teaching someone at the first level will be like lifting 10 pounds, right? And then teaching someone at the highest level will be like lifting 100 pounds, right? So so there's no difference in the teaching. It's just the difference in strength of pressure and difficulty, right? So it's like you're not gonna. It's like saying I could teach first grade, but I could also teach 10th graders, right? But it's a different level, right? It's a higher education level, right? So someone could see me teaching someone in the first level. Other people are gonna be pretty messed up, and they're gonna be making fun of them and saying, "Oh my God, you're so weak. You're at a level one. You lift 10 pounds. I lift 40 pounds, or 70, or 100 pounds." And you say that other people are gonna be mean and messed up, telling people how low their level is, that they're not good, of like of when I have to teach people of everything it is that I teach, right? The main thing will probably be especially like the number one thing will be defense guitar, because that's what is the number one thing that's taught all the time, right? So with myself, no one has to worry about me making fun of people, because that's not my personality. I never make fun of people. I don't have anger problems. The only thing that I have is a disability. When I do get sick, I do get angry because I'm sick, but that's only part of a really bad depression, right? So outside of the depression and all those feelings, I don't have any problems with anger, right? That's why capable of teaching, capable of doing things, right? Because imagine if I had anger problems, I can't teach nobody because I have no patience, right? And if I had anger and all those type of feelings, I'll probably be like a bully and make fun of people that are at a low level, because that's what a bully is. They start problems with people because they're at a lower level, and a person with anger problems could never be a teacher and teach people, because they'll lose patience with people when they don't understand and learn, right? So that's my behavior. So basically, I have no anger problems. The only thing that I have is a mental health problems, that when it gets out of control, my feelings, depression gets really bad. I get anger, and then I break things, and I end up in the hospital until I'm back to being myself again, right? So basically, you could say my depression doesn't count because it's a health condition, right? A person that has really bad anger problems, you could say, is a person that doesn't have depression and doesn't have all these things, and they're just like not a nice person. You see, that person, does that person take medications or this and that? No. Okay, so they're perfectly healthy. Yeah. Okay, and they treat people bad. Yeah. Okay, so then those people have anger problems. Why? Because um, they're not under the category of a disability. You have a disability, okay, so then that's out of your control. You see, you're not doing it on purpose. You have a disability, okay? But if you don't have a disability and you have all this anger problems and you treat people bad and people obviously are not gonna like you very much, then that person could never be a teacher. You see? So a person that has a disability of mental health problems, um, you they could have a mood problem, right? Maybe they could treat people bad, but that's not who they really are. You see, so when you put in a category, a person who really has anger problems is a person who doesn't have mental health issues. You see, the person with mental health issues, they have a disability. That's why they behave that way, right? But a person that doesn't have mental health issues, that is a person that has true anger problems. You see, so that's why I say with myself, I don't have anger problems, right? What I have is I get sick, and then I kind of become another person because I'm sick. See, I'm sick. I'm not the same person. Yeah, that's not really who I am. And the person who I really am is a person that has zero anger, right? So then that's why you say people with a disability, mental health problems. When you get down technically, they don't fall into the category of a person that is um, without mental health disability, and those people really, really have anger problems. You see, so it's completely different. So that's why with mental health disabilities, like the same thing that you have with suicide, that a person that commits suicide since 2020 is covered by the insurance because they're taking their own lives, but it's not their fault, right? But a person that have mental health problems, they take their lives and they're not covered by the insurance because they're they're sane, so they are committing self murder, but they don't have insurance. So anything with anger falls in the same category because that person is not the same person because of their disability. So that's not who they really are, right? And it's the same thing. A person could kill people, but if they're completely insane, right? They can go to prison or jail. They'll end up in a place for like people that are insane. You see, that person killed people, right? So if you have a mental health disorder, you're not gonna go to a regular place. You're gonna go to a place where people are insane. They did kill people, but their mind is not there. You see, it's not the same thing, right? So when it goes to like people that kill, right? People that treat people bad, right? But when you add mental health, it's a different category. You see, do they have mental health? No. Then they're a killer that will literally go to prison, jail, and will be there for the rest of their lives, or maybe they're put with the death penalty, right? Okay, then the person's actually insane, not in their right mind. They have a mental they have a learning disability that don't even know what they're doing. They will never go to prison or jail, right? Because anything that has to do with mental health disability, you don't fall into the same category as a regular person, right? So then, when you have a mental health disability, you have an imbalance, right? So the person, that's not who they really are. The person's not really angry. The person's not rude. The person's not mean, right? But what has happened with them is that they have a mental health disorder that has changed who they really are. You see, that's not who they really are. They're sick and they're trying to find a way for them to getting back to who they really were. A nice person, charming, treating people nice, right? But then they have a mental health disorder and they got really sick and that's not who they really are. They didn't get treatment and they became the opposite. Rude, bad, um, angry, breaking things, starting problems with people. Right. But you see, the difference is that person has a mental health problem. Yeah. So where was the treatment for that person? You see, no one helped them. They didn't get medications. No. Did they get a psychologist? No. So this person could have been helped, but they weren't helped. Right? Okay. So that person will not fall into that category of a person that is rude, right? That treats people bad, that is angry, right? That will hit people within their own house, will fight people outside in the streets, right? Okay, so but that person will literally is a bad person. That whether they go to prison or not, if they do something to that degree, people are not gonna like that person, right? You put that one person, and it's an example, right? Let's say that 10 people know that person personally, right? And out of the 10 people, do any of you guys like this person? And they will say no. Why? Because they treat people bad, they're rude, they start fights with people, they have anger, uh, they've hit people in their house, domestic abuse, and hit people outside, random strangers, right? And 10 people got to know that person. Doesn't mean they had a problem with them, but they got to know, seen the behavior, and everyone will go like, none of us like that person. Why? Because that person is not appropriate, right? Okay, but that person has no mental health problems, so that person is completely incorrect person, right? But then the person that has mental health problems is like that because of their mental health, right? So it's a different category. See, that person is none of those things, right? But no one helped them when they were getting sick, right? So they got sick, they got worse, 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 and worse, and they got out of control, right? But that's not who they are, you see. So that person is not an angry person. That person is not rude. That person that doesn't start hitting people in their house or outside, right? But the person has like mental health problems, yeah, and no one helped with medications or treatment, psychology or support, yeah. So you see the two people, right? But you see, one has a treatment because of his health, the other one doesn't. The other one is just like a complete bad person, you see? What's a bad person? The bad person completely is the person without mental health disorders, right? Because they don't have anything wrong with them. They're completely fine. They're just a bad person, right? But then the person with mental health disorders, okay, that's different. They have the same behavior, but the only reason they have that behavior is because nobody helped them. You see, it's like that's not who they really are. You see, the person with a mental health disorder, that's who they were always were. You see, that person that have mental health problems, that's who they always were. You see, that's how they were always like that, right? Then the person with mental health disorder, nah, this person wasn't like that before they changed, right? That's not who they really are. And then you find out that the reason they changed was because they have a mental health disorder. Their behavior, their mood got worse. Number one thing, did you get medications? No. That's the worst thing. You need to take medications, right? It's a mental health disorder. Yeah. So if you're not feeling good and you don't get something that makes you feel good, you're going to get worse, right? So not taking your medications is the worst thing because you're not getting anything there to make you feel somewhat happy. And then you don't have a psychologist, and then you don't have support system. You're just gonna get worse, right? So then you have two different people that end up being the same, right? But only one is that's not who they truly are. You see, that person's got sick and no never got help, right? So that's the difference between both. You see, so when it gets down to that, you're gonna see that one needs a treatment, right? So that person, you know, they're a good person because people around, you know, they grew up with the person, they knew their family members, people that knew them, and you see that the person changed because they never got the treatment that they needed to get done, right? So that's what happens with people that have mental health, right? So they don't fall into the same category, right? So that's when it comes down to like health and mental health. People are a completely different category than a regular person, right? So that's what you say with myself. I have no anger problems, right? See, so the only thing that I have is I get sick, right? I don't get treatment. I don't do the proper things, or like as an example of medications, and then I'm just gonna get worse, and then I become something bad. But that's not who I am. It's just that I'm sick. You see, anyone that knows me will be like, "That's not who you really are. You're just sick. You need a treatment. You need your meds. You need psychologists, and you need a treatment. And if you don't do that, you're gonna get worse, and bad things are gonna happen." See, so at that point is when you know that a person is sick. So that's why I say I don't have any anger problems. So that's why I have no problems teaching anything or anyone, right? So what I'm saying is like what I teach is that whenever you do anything that's like military or fixing things, you gotta get rid of all the bad things. You see, it's something that um, it just comes natural of like what's bad. You see? So anyone that's like a trash person, you get rid of them. You see? That's what you learn in the army or anything like that. That's like what secure like you say, you know, what security guards do, you know? It's like you wanna get inside a club? Yeah. Well, you don't belong here. Why? Because you don't meet the requirements. Get out of here. Right? What is that? You taking that person out, right? You tell them get out and they leave. Or maybe you have security inside the club, and then you have someone that behaves inappropriately, right? And you go like, hey, come here, get out of here. Why? Because you're not supposed to do this inside the club. Yeah. So you get out of here and you get out now, right? So that's security, you see. So what I said is like, you see the person that don't meet that criteria, you don't allow them in. See, there's a person inside and they do things that are incorrect, then you kick them out. See, that's the whole point of security, right? So what I do is the same thing as a security person, which is what I always do, play guitar, right? I walk around, right? I'm with a person, I'm with a female or whatever, right? And then I see a person that's inappropriate, right? You see a person that's like rude, right? And I'm just being all, hey, oh, how you doing? And everybody's like, ah, get out of here or whatever. And I'm like, all right, you know? And I'll just walk around with a person. Yeah, yeah, man, that person wasn't very nice, right? Yeah, he was kind of incorrect. I'd be like, all right, just give me 1 minute. What? I'm just gonna do my security job, right? Okay, so then I go, hold on, just 1 second, right? So then I completely change and I start playing guitar and I start putting all that pressure, right? And all I do is like I'll go around the perimeter. Where's my target? Where was that person that was rude? Okay, right there. And I just stay there, lock in the target, and say like, do not get near me ever again. That's basically playing defense, right? And when I say don't get near me, I'm also saying like everyone that's in my perimeter. You see, do not get near me and the people I'm protecting. You see, that's the whole point. You see, like do not get near me. Okay, and what's near me? Everyone that's behind me and I'm in front blocking, right? And you say a rude person is someone that's inappropriate, right? It's like we don't want that person around us, right? So that's what I do. You see, it's like for example, I'm doing security inside a club, right? And there's like a person that's doing something incorrect. Like I said, you don't belong here. Come here. Well, come here. Go. You see the door? Get out. Why? Because you're not supposed to do anything here, and that's it, right? But you do it all calm, right? And that's how you do it, right? So I'll give the example. You walk around normal, right? And I give that example, right, to any person, and it's like you don't belong here, right? We're talking about anyone, male, female, whatever height, weight, any it doesn't matter, right? It's just the person doesn't belong there. It's like there's no um the what's it called? People that are disrespectful are not allowed, right? It's just that simple, right? So that's what I do. I go around. I go to where was the target? Okay, let me go to the target where the target was, right? So the person's still there. Just stand there like a statue and look straight at them. Like, all right, you're not allowed near me or my perimeter, right? Okay, let's say that the person moves, right? You're looking for the person. Oh, the person moved. You walk around. You get near the person, and you just get on that energy. It's like you're the person that that was that did those things that were rude. Yeah, okay, don't get near me ever again, right? And that's it, right? But you're never causing a scene, right? If you're working security at a club, and see someone inside the club that's doing something bad, you simply go out to them. Hey, come here. What? You need to get out of here. Why? Because I'm security. Yeah. Well, I'm escorting you out of this club. Yeah. Get out of the club now. Why? Because you were not supposed to do that. Get out. Right? And you take them out. Right? And that's what you get paid to be a security guard. The simple job of being a security guard, if you work inside the club, the entire time all you do is stay up in the club for like 6 hours, right? 6 hours. If anyone misbehaves, you kick them out. That's the job of a security guard, right? That's basically it, right? Your job is to stand and look for anyone that's doing something that's incorrect, right? Okay, and you say you get paid like as an example, right? You could get paid $50 to $100 an hour. It's just an exaggeration, right? You get paid 50 or $100 an hour to stand in a place for 6 hours, right? It's a club with a lot of people going inside, and sometimes people misbehave, right? So you go like, all right, I work here from for 5 or 6 hours, right? I have my attire of like security guard. I'm clean shaven and everything, and all I do is like I look left to right if anyone misbehaves, right? And if someone does something wrong, I have to kick them out, right? But you do it in a professional way, right? It's like, okay, I see this person right here. It's like, hey, come here. What? Get out. What? Get out of the club. What? What you did was incorrect. Yeah, that's not allowed here. Okay, and that's basically what you do as a security guard, right? And but obviously, security guard, you have to be able to scare people. You see, if the person is not scared of you, you're like, oh, you have a club and it has policies. Okay, anyone that does this inside the club, um, you have to kick them out because that is not allowed in here, right? Okay, so the person does one of those things, and it's like, all right, well, you have to leave, right? But you look at the person, like seriously, right? Like you're serious about it. You know, you're not playing around because that's your job, because it like I said, if a person's security, you're there to scare the person away if they do something wrong, right? It's like an example. You could be talking to a person in a regular manner, right? You could be having a conversation with a person, right? But the moment you notice a person does something incorrect, you go, you're like, get out. Why? That's just not allowed in here, right? Maybe you don't even have to tell them what they did, right? But you just kick them out. You could tell them what they did, or they know what they did, but you have to kick them out, right? If a person can't do that, they cannot be a security guard. You see? So, so that's the ability, right? The person goes away. Like as an example, right? A person, how would you say? You know you're a good security guard that the moment the person does something wrong and they think the security guard actually noticed, they start walking away. That's when you know a person's scared. You see, it's like, you're not supposed to do that in here, right? And the security guard goes by, they notice, and then they see the security guard kind of like coming back to the place. The person's like, holy crap, I think the security guard saw me doing this thing. Yeah, okay. And then the person will get scared and leave. See, that's a good security guard, right? As an example, imagine a bad security guard would be a person that is like, you're doing something incorrect and you keep doing it, and they stay there. You're like, hey, get out of here. And oh, I'm not moving. Like, what makes you think I'm gonna listen to you and leave, right? So that would be an example of a bad security guard, right? So basically, what happens in that situation is that the person will get fired from their job, or in the first place will never get that job in the first place, right? So how I always react, playing guitar, doing security, is that I just go and I see something's incorrect and that doesn't belong there, right? Put in the example of a rude person, right? It's like the policies will be to have people having a good time, right? People that are enjoying and just I don't know, just having a good time, right? So if you have a person that's making the place worse, all these things, it's like you need to get out of here. Why? Because this place is for people to enjoy, and you're making the environment not a good, pleasant place, right? So that's an example. What will happen is like called just giving an example, Club Joy, right? Club Joy, Club Happiness, right? Club Joy had Club Happiness, right? So then I'll go like, all right, well, the requirement is like this environment needs to be joy and happiness, and you're violating that code, and you're making this place not good. So I'm gonna have to get you out of here, right? And the person goes away, because that is the example. You see that if you have a club that says joy and happiness, that people are happy and experiencing joy, the last thing you want is a person that's not doing that, a rude person, this and that or whatever, right? Um, so as an example, right? Imagine you have a club that says joy and happiness, right? And a whole bunch of people are there, and they want to be together, have a good time, enjoy each other's company. And you have a person that says, "Ah, I don't like you. Screw you. Get away from me. Get out of here. Scram." And then I'll be like, "All right, man. What? Okay. There's no. This is club joy happiness. Yes. Well, you need to get out of here. Why? Because you're being rude. Okay. So then I'm gonna have to escort you out of the club right now. Right. So that's the example that I give, which is pretty much appropriate, right? So the way I react when you do security is you look at the perimeter and you surround the perimeter, right? And that's it. You walk around, you're like, hold on, I have to go back there. I gotta kick someone out. You see? Okay, so that's basically what you do in a situation like that, right? So then I will put like another person in that situation, right? And it's like, well, what happens? We kick the person out. Why? Because you just told them that, as an example, it's club joy, happiness, and the person is like being all rude or whatever, and there's no room for that over here. So you have to tell them, hey, you're gonna have to leave because you violated the policies, right? It's just that simple, right? So so if a person cannot get the person out of there, then the person's not a good security guard, right? And the reason they're not good is because they don't scare them, right? You have to be able to scare the person, right? Okay, so that is the basic foundation, right? So that's where it applies to like military and army, and the whole thing. Explain is that you cannot be the same person. You see, if you're gonna uh, be defensive security, you can be nice to the person. You see, if a person is incorrect, you're not gonna be doing the same thing that person did. Is like being defensive is you're never gonna become like that person. You're just gonna become frightening. You see, it's like you become a statue that like almost like a dead person that's motionless. You're walking up to the person, your blood temperature is really low, and inside your eyes is nothing. And when you look at that, you're gonna scare the person, right? Okay, so that's what you're supposed to do. So you do that. You become cold with anyone that is incorrect, and you need to push them out, right? Okay, so then you apply that to the military. Oh, you gotta take someone out. Boom, you shoot them and you kill them, right? What's the target? What is it you have to get rid of? Okay, so go over there and shoot the target and you kill the person and you did your military task. You see? So I'm giving you the example of how things work. Simple, right? And you know how I said before, the women are attracted to people who are defensive guitar players, which you say I am. That is basically my strength in guitar playing. You know, you put any female within my perimeter, they're always gonna be there. They're not gonna leave because they feel safe, right? It's like I put like a stick of where's my perimeter, right? And there's like, okay, I have to defend people, right? Uh, there's two females behind me. Right. Okay. Fine. You know, as an example, right? Okay. You know what? I'm gonna move like a little bit to the left over here. Okay. And I'm gonna be standing right here. Right. So I move to a different spot, and then the two females are like, "Hey, I don't feel safe. I don't feel protected." Right. So then they'll go right behind me again. You see, that's exactly what I'm saying. It's like I'm the defense, I'm the guitar. Yeah. So what happens if I move? If I move, the two females that were behind are gonna go behind me again because they feel unsafe if someone is if I'm not there. They're like, well, if myself a big sister is not there, um, I think I could get attacked. Yeah, so I'm gonna go back with big sister, Giancarlo, right? Joker Stag, Hell, Gwen Stacy, Michael Myers. Michael Linda Myers, what John Carlos, right? Joker equals stack, right? The person will go there again because the moment that I go somewhere else, they don't feel safe. You see, that's what happens myself, and what happens is that that is attractive to anything and anyone, and you feel like you say planets equals field says like myself a big sister. It says sexy level will be the highest, right? Because you feel the highest safe, and everything else that derives within my the good things that I do, per se. Um, so with that is how you explain why defense and guitar is uh, it draws people in, right? Because you feel safe, right? It'll happen over and over again, right? I'm standing at perimeter. There's two females behind me. I'm gonna move 5 feet to the left, and then they'll be like, where's Giancarlo? Well, not there. No, I don't feel safe anymore. They'll go over there. Then I'll move 5 feet up. I'm gonna move 5 feet up, and they're like, where's Giancarlo? He's over there. Well, I don't feel safe anymore, right? I'm not being protected, right? Then you go left again, 5 feet to the left, right? It's saying it once, right? But I'm saying 5 times. I don't feel safe because I moved to the left, right? So they don't feel protected. You can get attacked at any moment, right? So you have the same situation going forward 5, right 5 feet, and the women will keep following me behind, right? Because behind me is like, how do you say, like the defensive line is a line that you can see, right? Okay, so I stand right behind the defensive line, right? So what's behind me? The people that I'm protecting. See, the people that I'm protecting are behind me. Okay, so you're putting two females there, right? Okay, so I'm protecting those two females from being hit, hurt, insulted, or whatever, right? Someone's trying to insult them. Someone's trying to like physically attack them. Someone could try to like uh, do something against their will of intimacy, right? But I'm right there. You're not going to touch them. You're not going to hurt them. I'm right here, and you're not gonna get through me, right? So that's why I say that if I move left, right, forward, back 5 feet or somewhere else, um, the women are gonna follow. Why? Because then they're like, I don't want to get attacked. You see, I don't want to get hit. I don't want to get attacked. I don't feel safe without Giancarlo, which is myself a big sister. I don't feel safe. I don't want to get attacked. I'm scared. See? So then you say a person will get scared if I'm not protecting them. See? If I'm not defending a person, they're gonna get scared. It's like, so who's gonna defend me now? Who's gonna protect me? And then they get scared. You see? So that's where you say that a person would say that like you cannot find another person to do what I do, right? Because it's just a fact. So when you defend and protect a person, that's gonna be always attractive. That's always gonna be sexy, right? And they see the difference when I'm not there defending. They see the difference. It's like no way, and it's like saying one type of example, right? Is like a person will get really scared. Um, they feel really bad and depressed if I can no longer protect them, right? Because it's like no one is gonna be able to do that, and that's a fact, right? Because there's only one sun of the solar system, right? So no one's gonna be able to do the same thing. So they're never gonna really feel safe at all to that degree, right? So that's why you have uh, you say the two females I defend, they're always gonna be there, no matter what. Why? Because that's why they don't feel safe outside of that situation. Outside of myself and big sister, they don't feel safe. They're like, so that's um, why you always see that that people that I'm protecting and they're with me I'm in front of them because no one's crossing that line. And that is the episode.